I'm Todd Henderson. Today I want to show you how to install the Access Original roll-up cover on this 2015 Ford F-150. Now this is the standard install. It's going to be the exact same install on most trucks. So let's go ahead and get started. First, we're going to be installing our element seal on the bulkhead. We've got an included alcohol prep pad. We want to make sure that we clean that bulkhead very thoroughly. All right, next what we're going to do, we're going to orient the element seal in this position here. So it's kind of L-shaped. Pull a few inches off of that. We're going to bring this all the way up to the bed cap and press it down. All right, now when you get to the opposite side of the bed cap, before you peel the adhesive away, go ahead and cut that seal to mate evenly to the opposite bed cap. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to locate our passenger side rail. Now you'll notice that on one side you're going to have a foam rubber strip that actually goes up against the inside of your bed cap. On the back end of it, you're going to have a little bulb seal that touches the tailgate. What we're going to do is we're going to put that up against the bed cap. We're going to make sure it's all the way up to the top of the bed cap so that the seal should be even with the top of the bed cap, and slide it all the way forward to where the rail touches the bulkhead. Now we need to temporarily hold this in place. So I've got a couple of squeeze clamps. I'm going to take and attach one here and attach another one right up here. Now this is how you want to attach the clamp. First of all, you've got the nut that goes to the inside of the bed of the truck. That's what we tighten. Now you've got two clamp halves. The inside clamp half needs to rest on top of the outside clamp half. And you're going to slide that into the rail. Make sure that the grooves on the clamp mate up to the grooves in the rail. We're going to hold it together and then tighten it by hand first to get it in place. Then we're going to use a 1/2 inch wrench or ratchet, and then we're going to tighten that down while we hold it vertically up into the rail. Now I'm going to move to the front of the rail and install the next clamp. Before I do that, I'm going to double check and make sure my seal is still even with the top of the bed cap. If it's moved around a little bit, we want to adjust it at this point in time. Also make sure it's still all the way up against the bulkhead. We're going to slide it into place and we're going to bring it as far forward, as close to the bulkhead as possible. Then again, we're going to tighten that down by hand. And follow that up with your 1/2 inch wrench or ratchet. Tighten it down while you're holding it vertically. Now I'm moving to the rear. I'm going to go ahead and insert the clamp and move it as far back to the tailgate as possible. Then again, tighten it by hand. Double check the rail. And this did move up just a little bit, so I'm going to move it back down and then tighten it down with my 1/2 inch wrench or ratchet. I can go ahead and remove my squeeze clamps, and we'll repeat that same process on the opposite side. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and take the tarp and set it up on top of the rails. This right here, the aluminum part that's showing, is the head rail. This is going to be right behind the cab of the truck. You're going to notice it's got a slot inside the head rail. In each side of the slot, there's going to be a square nut that will slide back and forth inside that slot. Got one here, got one back there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to locate my tension adjuster for the driver's side over here. It's going to have an L for left stamped into it. This smaller portion, you got a hole in there. You're going to have also in your kit a long bolt along with a washer. You're going to run that through that hole, line it up to that square nut, and we're just going to get it run into the threads on that square nut. We want to be able to still slide that back and forth. Do that on both sides. All right, now we're going to go ahead and rotate the head rail down. Something that's very important, this little vinyl flap that's coming off the end of the head rail, we want to make sure that's tucked in. And that's going to go in between the bulkhead and the head rail. So we're going to rotate that down. The head rail is going to rest in between the rails. So rotate that in, tuck that vinyl tarp in, and then slide it over top of the bulkhead. Once it lands into position here, we're going to go ahead and slide our tension adjustment, we're going to want to line up the hole in the tension adjuster to the hole in the rail. And as we do that, underneath the piece that we attach to the head rail, to that slotted nut, that's also going to slide and slide underneath the rail. Then once we've got it there, just push it until the holes line up. Once those holes are lined up, we're going to take our short bolt that's in our kit, and we're going to put it through the top. Then from the bottom, we're going to attach our washer and also the nut. We're going to put that in finger tight. We're going to take a 1/2 inch wrench, hold that nut tight up top, or hold the bolt tight up top with a 1/2 inch wrench, and the 1/2 inch ratchet down below, we are going to tighten up that nut. Now, before we tighten the bolt that holds the tension adjuster to the head bar, we want to make sure we center the head bar in between the two rails. Make sure the gap is the same on both sides. Then we can go ahead and tighten that up using either a wrench or a ratchet and a 1/2 inch. And do that on both sides. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and roll the cover back to the tailgate. When we get back to the back, we're going to go ahead and lock it in place. This should be set from the factory with a perfect tension, but if it was too tight or too loose, I can show you how to adjust that. We're going to reach inside and pull the cable that will retract the latches on both sides that holds the tail bar to the rails, then just rotate the tail bar up. Now we're going to roll it towards the bulkhead again. And when we get up to the front, we're going to make sure that the tarp is pulled away from the Velcro on the rails on both sides. If you want to tighten it up, it shows you on the tension adjuster which direction to rotate for tight. So you can tighten it up or loosen it up either way. Do that on both sides. You just make sure that the spacing is the same. Then you roll it back to the tailgate and check your tension from there. Well, we checked the operation, the tension's perfect, and that concludes the installation. If you have any questions, call the experts. We're here to help you out.